What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another episode of Car Talk. I'm here with my friend and co-host
Ryan Foster from Rywire.
We are in the Rywire facility, and we are going to get down straight to it. SEMA 2024. The two Rywire EV builds are behind us. We're going to obviously get to that. But aside from Ryan bringing two builds, we're also enthusiasts, supporters of the culture, supporters of the industry. So SEMA is a staple, right? Been going for a decade and a half plus straight. And so there's so many angles to talk about what we saw and appreciated, both as enthusiast builders and members of the industry and the culture. And then, of course, Ryan is a sanctioned judge for the Battle of the Builders. I'm media for SEMA when I don't, or if I don't have a car there. So we're, really intertwined in a lot of different ways, officially, unofficially, and it's crazy, it's busy, and it's a blast. But okay, so Ryan, before we get into you as a builder and a business, right, with the two builds, how was it for you as an observer, as an enthusiast? What did you see as far as, in the import space, right? Or new products of any kind that really pop into your mind that, seemed innovative and kind of useful for what's going on with what we do?
As far as new products go, I wish I was able to kind of like tour that.
Sure.
Unfortunately, because of the circumstances, I didn't get to see everything that I wanted to see, or that I would have otherwise saw if I didn't have two cars there that I literally had to be more or less back and forth near and stuff like that. But as far as the builds go, I was able to see some of the builds because of being a judge.
Sure.
And just organically walking around, or from point A to point B between the two vehicles.
Yeah.
Or to lunch, or to the Battle stage.
Sure.
RWB had a whole thing where he was literally doing
right
the
there
car
by the Battle of the Builders stage.
So purely just for the fact of if anybody was ever interested in viewing that or being a part of that, if they care for that or they don't, but they're intrigued by it, you literally could go to SEMA. And the craziest thing is that was outside. So technically, if you didn't even have a pass.
Oh, I see what you're saying. The outside silver lot.
Yeah. So I think that was an amazing opportunity for people. I honestly didn't watch. I've seen him install kits before. I know he's doing an air-cooled, a water-cooled car, actually. Okay. So I think one of his 997 or 996 builds. So something a little bit different than what's typical with the air-cooled stuff. Anyway, so that's just one amazing thing that I noticed when I was just walking from Battle of the Builders tent.
That integration of sides of the world.
To CSF. I was like, oh my God, RWB's setting up here. And one of the cars I had judged was an RWB build.
Okay.
So I looked at that, and then I saw the setup, and then I actually asked the guy, because I sort of knew him a little bit, that owned the car. He's like, oh yeah, Nikai's gonna be here. He's gonna be doing the cars. Okay, so that's just one kind of amazing thing that was just.
Whether someone's into that or not.
Yeah.
Just the fact that it's a planned, organized, next to the Battle of the Builders stage, presentation / offering of SEMA.
Yeah.
For someone. Okay, fair enough.
And then I heard through the grapevine. I'm just kind of hitting some points.
Sure.
Heard through the grapevine that normally Battle of the Builders is inside.
Yeah.
And the stage is all inside, and it was actually outside this year.
Yeah.
And it's well, why is it outside? Well, they actually sold the space, which is actually really cool, because what that means is, do you remember last year in Central Hall, they had that area where there was just they had a food court kind of set up, and just seating.
Yeah.
Because they didn't sell those spots.
Okay.
Right? Well, what I'm getting at is that the place was packed. Every inch of SEMA was sold. So that kind of tells me that they were making a good comeback.
Yeah.
There was a little, with COVID and circumstances, a little downturn, but the resurgence is there, and it seems like that.
On that note, what I think the numbers that I kind of heard that tie directly into that is there was 1,100 and some change exhibitors last year, and this year was over 1,400. So it isn't 20 more. It's 300 plus more in their different spaces. So anyways, go ahead.
And that pretty much makes sense, because those two large spaces that you know, like I said, dedicated to valve builders, dedicated to like just seating and food area.
Yeah.
They were actually just filled all that in.
Right.
I mean, SEMA felt massive. I mean, I was just like walking the halls and it's just like bumper to bumper, you know? But yeah, like there was some very cool builds, you know, like standout stuff. There was a Chevelle that I thought was really well put
Oh
together.
yeah, we both geeked out on it.
Yeah.
The 70 or 68, I think it was. And I feel terrible. I was actually just on that IG kind of going over it because it was that cool. You know, for those of you that are watching that immediately know what we're talking about, Central Hall, when you pass the Toyota booth, when you're sticking to the far right side, like if you were heading straight towards Honda Racing and then going outside to the tread path.
Dynamat's booth or something like that.
Yeah, but it was like a 68 or a 70 with the wildest front end possible.
Yeah.
The only negative thing I heard about this from anyone, and like these are American muscle car enthusiasts, was that front end's a little too crazy.
And it didn't I heard Chevelle doesn't like roll properly. They have to like sort something or whatever. It doesn't even matter. But like. It is SEMA, so you're allowed to just like get it done like the day before and then sort out things later on.
We both geeked out on this car.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, I don't even like the color.
Sure.
Like I just don't like.
I like the color.
Don't really like dark.
He didn't like the color or the wheel spoke design, and I was like, I like both of them, but yeah,
it still stood out that much.
Oh, you guys,
the CAD work in it, and like just all the
from
all the
metal to matching to carbon to matching to metal, like so body metal and then fab metal, so cylindrical and then flat and then carbon, the finish, the front bumper, like bottom half splitter is just insanity.
Yeah, it had a lot of motorsport stuff. Like
that's the only stuff that I low-key felt was like found to be a fault. But other than that, the paint work, the depth of the rear wheel with the spoke design that, Ryan was like, but it created a crazy effect on the lip and the, I think Michelin Pilot Sports and just this like hard cut, like kind of like straight line spoke created a super cool look in the lip.
It did have a crazy look in the lip.
Yeah, it created this effect because we're talking about like a 345 or something.
Yeah, it's huge.
That thing was crazy. So Cerakoting and boost clamping. That's the Wiggins color tones, and then the valve covers were a combination of like billet, carbon, and then another 3D cut or CAD design.
Yeah.
Beautifully matching piece just to do like PCV. Right, it was just like crankcase vent.
Crankcase vent, but it was like overly addressed.
Overly engineered, just this beautiful like curved space that tapered off to a hard line on top of a carbon piece that was made to fit on top of a billet valve cover.
Yeah.
Just, you guys. Woo.
Serviceability is probably a bitch, but it's really
cool. But here's the thing, right?
It's really cool.
I was having a talk with a lot of other enthusiasts, tuner guys, import guys, Honda guys, whatever, right? And SEMA is the place where if you're looking for it, you're going to find it. Meaning, are you looking for the trucks that have a Bluetooth drive shaft? You'll find it. Are you looking for things that don't run or clearly they're not plumbed all the way and they don't run? If that's what your eyes are going to look for, you'll find it. Are you also going to find some of the best engineered and best show and best painted vehicles on planet Earth? Absolutely. But if you're too caught up in, that doesn't run or that's not finished, you're going to see that. And, whether it's right or wrong, a lot of guys don't finish their cars and they just get it rollable, right? So be it. But if you want to be inspired, if you want to be intimidated, if you want to be anything, you can get it at SEMA. And so I think that, what's the first car that, he referenced an RWB and a Chevelle. Look at the diversity in that, right? That's SEMA for you, And I think that you have something like the Tread Pass, right? One of your builds is there, the EG, and the diversity in what was on display there alone.
Yeah.
There are people who say they spend 2 full days in the Tread Pass, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, that's half of SEMA, just trying to, really see when they open the hoods, get underneath, and appreciate the cars that are just in their Tread Pass, right? Yeah. Especially for the import guys or the JDM or Euro. But I thought, go ahead.
I was gonna say during judging, just to show the diversity of the Tread Pass, during judging, we literally were like, oh, okay, you know, how many cars do you have in the tread pass? How many cars do you have? Like, we all had like multiple vehicles.
Oh, for hot rod, off-road.
Yeah. So
young guns.
And we went there last because I made everybody aware that, because I was in the tread pass, I was like, they're rolling in tonight until midnight.
Yeah.
And then we need to judge like before they're done technically.
So let's go there last.
So yeah, we had to go there last, and then there was a couple great cars that just weren't quite like they were still dirty, but at least we kind of waited. We waited for some people.
Yeah,
we're like, oh, this guy's coming. He's on my list. I need to see the car.
Yeah. So okay,
Celica for the V12 Celica.
Sure,
amazing build.
Yeah, that was gonna be one that I brought up. I mean, so okay, let's just get straight to it. Shout out to Sean Bassett, Attacking the Clock Racing out of Florida. He continues to show that there's a lot of creativity, innovation, and when you have that, you end up being able to find the clients that have the time and the money to give you that ability, right? Because you can have all the ideas, but if there isn't a personal build, which is very hard to do when you run a business, so if you find a client that gives you creative freedom and is patient and actually has the fundage to pay for something like that, it becomes a builder and a creative's like dream to be able to do that. Make any kind of living, making thought to reality. So the K truck made all kinds of waves to this day. It's all over the internet. And then he had a client that allowed him to take this R820 Celica, which has been done by a lot of Toyota heads in a lot of cool ways. And he did something that might still actually be the first guy to do it, which is crazy because Celicas have been raced and built and resto modded, and he might be the first guy to put a Century motor, kept it in the lineage. I love the Toyota to Toyota lineage. The easy thing to do would be to put a 2J or a 1J or a Beams or something like that. A lot of guys have put Beams in there, but a V12, the only V12 that Toyota's ever made, and he took it out of the big, beautiful flagship Century, and then went ham with the accoutrements and the accessories, and the thing was nuts, man. Like, absolutely nuts. 600 something in a 2,000 pound rear wheel drive car is gonna be freaky. Like, absolutely freaky. And then instead of it being your typical British racing green, it had like a darker hue with flake. Then you have your clayish brown earth tone leathers. So race and show and power and perfect fitment on the BBS race wheels. Yeah, the car stood out to me because you could easily have done that in a brighter color or been inclined to do something like that. And it's pretty classy. You got the gold tones of the wheels, the green, the brown. So you got all those earthy tones, and yet the horns sticking out of the hood make you know that there's nothing calm about it. Mm-hmm. Wide as hell, wheels fit perfectly. So you really got into it as far as the judging, right? So you felt like it looked like you needed just a little bit more time to really get it to where it needed to be.
Yeah, I definitely chose him how it breaks down is there's 4 categories, and then you choose basically your top 10.
Yes. And
then you narrow that top 10 down to top 3, and then then you have a total of 12.
Yeah.
4 categories, and then those 12
judge each other.
So it was just really hard because that build is amazing. If he could have probably worked on it, for another 3 weeks and just buttoned it up, just like I'm like a wiring guy. I'm like, your VVTi plug's disconnected, and I probably know why, because there's a reason why it's disconnected.
Sure. So when
it was plugged in, I was having issues, and we never really got the tune right, and it's running but not really, and I'm just like, yeah, you know what I mean? And then I like touched the car, or I saw them, whatever, but the valance on the side was like not like really bolted on properly.
Okay.
There was just some like things where it's just like, I wish you had like 3 more weeks to just address all these details, iron everything out, and then have the car presented could have presented so much better.
Sure.
And then I don't know that I would have been able to fit it into that top 3.
Yeah.
But man, the top 3 was crazy because you're talking like these like Aston Martins and,
Yeah.
and Porsche Speedsters, and these are like Riddler winners. And
Yeah,
like,
that made it really hard this year. So the four categories that Ryan was talking about, for those of you that might kind of be new to SEMA's Battle of the Builders, is you have the Young Guns category, 29 and under, anything. So Japanese, American, truck, it doesn't matter, right? You are just the Young Guns category, any build of any type. Okay, that's one. Then you have off-road truck category, right? That's the second. Then you have the hot rod category. And then you have this really wild category called sport compact / import / luxury / exotic. So this year, the whole luxury / exotic part was primary, and they just so happened to be imports. Because you had a 65 Aston Martin, that was a 007, like Sean Connery era 007 James Bond homage build. And then you had a 7030 Ferrari Dino. Is it Dino? Dino. So 65, 73, and then...
a Speedster?
Porsche Speedster. I can't remember
the year.
60, 65 or something.
Wow.
Like a root beer, candy root beer. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. But look at what us import, when we think import,
What have to go up against?
which you're up against inside of your own category. Forget going up against the hot rods, which are typically going to probably win simply because of
The budgets are million plus,
right?
you know.
You got open checkbook builds, 1, 2, 5 year builds, and I mean, listen, you can't knock it because that's what it is, right? That's what you're up against in the whole thing. But this year, us infer Japanese, you're up against inside of your own sport compact import category. You have these Astons, Ferraris, and Porsche vintage chassis, and these people who are modifying them are not doing 6-month jobs.
Right.
They were beautiful builds, and so it was no surprise to me when we got to your top 3 of each category, and the top 3 for the sport compact category, a category that Ryan in an Integra, myself in a Prelude, the twins with a Supra, cars that we all kind of relate to. This year is just Japanese wiped by Euro.
Yeah,
Right?
there was
Italian
a
Euro.
lot of Euro cars
Okay.
in the top 10. Just
A lot. And so you have sport, compact, import, tuner, luxury, exotic, and if that's the new wave, dude, the Japanese chassis utilizers have a really nasty hill to climb
And I think that Sean could have been close to there.
with that build.
Yeah, it's like maybe a little bit more money thrown at it. I don't know where.
3 months.
And then like
Yeah.
3 months of refining and dialing in.
He could have been. Yeah. No, I agree. I was really going for him in that build. I love his creativity. I think he's a good dude, and I love the build. But yeah, I mean, when you get down to a point where you can really see some things, and you're just like, dude, I want it, but I have to be fair. It didn't quite work, But then what I did like. Oh, so speaking of that, same thing for a lot of the import guys, Japanese import guys. There was so Honda Racing. So big shout out to Honda, in this case specifically Honda Racing USA, for getting that quintessential Honda corner back.
Yeah, that's cool.
Right? So I don't know if Honda, just kind of between us, the way SEMA works is you lose your seniority when you skip 2 years. So when Honda wasn't there 1 year, everyone was like, oh no. And if they did not return this year, they would not have seniority to pick that quintessential spot. Which, I mean, would another company want to allocate that much fundage for that big of a corner? But they could, or 10 companies could split it up. So shout out to Honda Racing for coming back and having a wonderful display for the hardcore Honda guys, specifically for things like the Integra, which has been lackluster to most of us, but the Type S, everyone was like, okay, hold on, that actually looks good, and then boom, you hit us with these HRC components that are going to be available to the public. I mean, granted, this is at a price point that kind of knocks out a lot of Honda enthusiasts.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, it's back to what we like. You had Japan Modulo, Honda Access. Now you have HRC parts. So it's cool. A spec, HRC spec. I like it, but how many of the Integra enthusiasts are really trying to drop 50,000 by the time you get a lip kit and suspension and wheels because of the cost of the car? But their layout was amazing. F1, the CRV hybrid race truck thing, which is crazy cool. The new livery. I was geeking out on it, but other than that, your two Hondas and like one or two others, it was all Nissans. Nissan Datsun. You noticed that, right?
There was a lot
of GTRs, which shout out to 32s, 33s, 34s.
And old Zs, tons of old Zs.
So Zs are back in it like hardcore Datsuns. And that leads us to the top three for the young guns. You had, same thing, 60s. A lot of old, but in this case, Datsun 2000 Roadster ended up winning. And dude, rightfully so. Beautiful car. A 29-year-old, he made his own chassis underneath that thing.
Yeah.
And then, I've seen some 2000s done, but never with the whole push rod in a perpendicular geometry to the cantilever behind the driver.
Right.
Pretty damn cool, man. And then taking an SR20 and going carved. Just whether he did it. I mean, I didn't get a chance to talk to him about the why. Was it nostalgia? Was it just because I wanted to? It could be anything. But the nostalgia of it, fully restored cars, right? You got it looked like they were vapor honed and dipped and cleaned and zinked, and just execution was pretty damn good.
Mm-hmm.
The off-white sail color with the brown, with like the aircraft seat.
Yeah.
The browns and the creams and the gold accents, the Watanabe wheels. Dude, I was like, hey man, this dude this is really nice, and I'm so glad that he won.
Yeah.
That
the other young guns picked that car.
Yeah.
And, even knew what that was and stuff.
Yeah, that part was really cool. Did you know it was gonna do that when you first started looking at the other young guns? Did it stand out as far as the execution and details?
That one wasn't one of the ones that so how it works for Battle Builders in general, I might not see all the hot rod and trucks.
Okay.
But obviously I see the sport compact exotic.
I see.
And then, but we also do the young guns.
Yeah.
But the young guns, we do this prejudging thing where we basically weekends before SEMA, we have to decide who we're gonna have out.
Can you see that?
What?
The prejudging thing? Is that
No, it's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think that's. We prejudge
So
it and we get an interview. We do interviews with them.
Oh, that's right.
We literally do. We talk to them and we go, okay, we're going to choose you for an interview. Are you available? Do you want an interview? Is your car going to be ready? Yes. Okay. So that was one of the ones that wasn't really it wasn't on my radar. I didn't know it was going to be there initially, and then it was oh, okay. So that one was kind of thrown for a loop a little bit.
Okay.
Super.
But then when you saw it,
I was like, this is nice. Yeah. It was really nice. It was very well put together.
Guys,
I was like, are you sure this is a young gun?
Right. Dude, they're really hard. A lot of people don't realize they're actually super hard on the young builders. They treat them to the last T. If you are BSing anything, you are getting caught.
Yeah,
they're so strict. The judging is so strict.
Here's the funny thing is that it's these 4 judges. I'm one of them. For this whole prejudging to see if the young guns are going to qualify. The other guys, because Cam from the hot rod judge.
Yeah.
And then Jeremiah, those 2 guys are did you paint the car? Okay, what was your sanding process? What kind of clear did you use? What was your flash times like? I don't even understand paint that well. But these guys grill them. Did you actually paint your own car? And I always am just hey guys, I don't paint my own car.
Yeah.
But they want the young guns to literally fabricate.
Yeah, if the guy said that they fabricated TIG big, what was your pulse?
Yeah.
What was your filler rod? They're making sure they're not lying.
It's always MIG or TIG.
Yeah.
At minimum, they'll ask was that MIG or TIG'd? And then they gotta be oh, I TIG'd it. Did you? Okay, let's show me that a little closer. Okay, yeah, that looks TIG. Okay, they literally want to find a fault because they want to make sure that that's the person that built it.
Sure. You know what's interesting, right? And this, I would say this about any competition. If you put everything under one shop name, you have these reputable shops, right? Whether they're painters across the plaza or physically under one roof. If you have one shop that says we built this car, it's okay. Because it's one shop. But one person did not do the whole car. It's chronologically impossible, much less the percentage of people on planet Earth who have the ability to know how to TIG, make, English wheel, wire, paint, build, blueprint, and balance an engine. There's very few people on planet Earth who can do all that.
And to be under 25.
And to be under 29.
29.
But my point is it's crazy because not that it was meant to be this way, I'm sure, but it almost comes across as unfair.
Right.
Because you do not hold the older applicants, entrants, inadvertently to the same standard.
But so how they kind of play it is
Yeah.
let's say, for example, it's a hot rod
Okay.
class, okay? And then this is a 3-year build or something.
Yeah.
Something that's gonna get in the top 10
Yeah.
was probably built by a hot rod shop.
Yes.
And it's called Battle of the Builders, not Battle of the Owners.
Sure.
Right? So it's really like, for example, Ravi's 911.
Yeah.
Ravi didn't build that car. He did cumulatively, like, he's owner.
Was directly part of the creative process, design,
he made all the
but
decisions.
he didn't build it.
He hired me into the team, for example, because he's like, I want one wiring guy, this guy right here, right?
Yes.
But SEMO at SV Auto was the one that built that 911.
Sure.
There was other hands, there was probably like 7 of us on this team
Yeah.
doing the car. But like, and then with SV Auto staff, there's probably like 10 people involved in building the car. But it was SV Auto build because all of these reasons, fabrication, So then they don't want like Ravi in this case to be the Battle of the Builders. They want SEMA to be Battle of the Builders. So it's like whoever is in charge, not necessarily who owns the car.
Sure.
But yeah, I guess that's what.
But Ravi was the spokesperson for his own build.
He wasn't.
He was.
SV Auto was.
It was SEMA. Okay. I'm trying to remember from that year because both as a person who runs CSF products, Brian works for CSF, we both know Ravi. So I guess there's like a friendly bias in that regard. But I thought that build was amazing. Was amazing. And I mean, do you remember what it was up against that year?
Yeah. There was one car that I knew was up against. Is that the one where it was like that like body drop conversion Miata that hot rod guy built? Was that the same? Because that in my opinion that car was nothing fancy, and he made it way too far. No, it wasn't that year. That was actually
it was like a black Austin Healey on top of a Miata. I don't think it was the same year.
Okay.
But anyway, Ravi from CSF's personal / CSF Porsche build at Rywire, that come to mind earlier when you were talking about Nakai RWB, and that's become like normalized in the sense of SEMA now integrating it as a visual display. But then you have a build like that, which I mean, there's a lot of Porsche 911 resto mod going on, and that one still stands out. I mean, it because of like the way it works, it ended up being up there. But I mean, the only other car that really stands out to me that I think, I mean, it wipes even that one is the DLS.
Mm-hmm.
The Singer DLS happens to be just one of the most visually appealing things I've seen. And I don't even aspire to own a Porsche. I mean, I love Porsches. Jared and you, I mean, I've ridden with Ryan in his GT3, and I like the whole resto mod action. I like them. I don't aspire to own one. And then you get in something like Robbie's build, you sit in it, you feel it, and okay, you're like, hold on. This mixture of luxury and sportiness and craftsmanship, and you're like, okay, I am not even remotely gonna act like I can't feel good about being in this or driving this. And I haven't even sat in a DLS, but I have been able to get pretty damn up and under and around one in a certain person's collection, and not just the online renderings. And I'm like, okay, hold on, this thing is ridiculous, man. So I have an appreciation for things, even things I don't aspire to have. I don't want a Porsche Speedster. I don't want a 73 Ferrari Dino. I don't want a 65 Aston. We've talked about this. I would take a DB8, DB9, a DBS, but I don't like the 60s one as far as to own one. But did I geek out on those builds? Did I judge them in my own type of way and like really peep it all out and think that they're amazing? Yes. Same thing with cars in the tread pass. You're judging them with like a lowercase j. He's doing it with a capital, and I'm doing it just as a fellow builder and an appreciator of styles. A lot of Euros in general. I mean, S Club, Euro, they have like 5 every SEMA. Lot of Euro stuff. I mean, Stan's a Euro guy, his personal builds, etc. So I've also learned to appreciate older Euro builds, and they continue to go higher and higher.
His cars are crazy. These builds he's doing the S Club.
Yeah.
So I asked John, the owner, I was like, or the builder, I was like, which one's your flagship? Like which two are your flagship? I just straight asked him.
Yeah.
He's like, I think you want to look at this one and this one.
Okay.
Okay, I looked at them. I'm like, they're crazy. I gotta go see them.
Yeah.
And I judged kind of accordingly. But he brought like 5 or 6. He brought like 6 cars.
All of them in the battle.
Oh yeah,
they're
officially
all
the builders.
Applicants. Wow.
So I was like, let's just make this easy on me a little bit.
Tell me the two.
Tell me the two.
Do you think are the front?
And then one of them was a off road.
The G-Wagon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which, you know what I really liked about that G-Wagon? You know how like it's really common at SEMA to have these sponsors, right?
Okay.
He like made billet plates and incorporated them into like the rack kind of at the top, and it'd be like, you know, like
with engraving of the sponsors.
Of the sponsors, yeah. I thought that was a really slick way to like not have a sticker on the car.
Okay.
And you have literally like, and it plays off of his theme. Just
Yeah.
You know, plating and fancy bling bling. So these like CNC'd plates of like anti-gravity batteries and Toyota tires.
Hey, so which are the 2 vehicles that he said, these two, look at these 2?
The Mercedes with the like F1 style halo.
The white one.
Yeah. And then the convertible one.
The convertible one. The red one? The convertible.
No, silver.
The silver convertible.
I'm butchering. I don't remember what he called it. I'm not that good with Mercedes. It was really well done, but
Okay. So across from your car,
but he built a Porsche.
there was the red one, the Speedster, and then the was it the McLaren?
Actually, you know what? It was red, but his rendering was silver. That's why.
Yeah. Okay. So you're talking about the red one. Yeah.
It was right beside the F1 bar.
Yeah. Okay. So you guys must know the cars that we're talking about, right? Tread pass. Every car was all over the place as far as socials, but the red one and the white one. Well, they were the red with like the box flares, and then next to it was the Speedster, and then the white with the F1 type. So I mean, like, dude, I'm drawing a blank too.
Yeah, they're all really well done.
Yeah,
They're
all
really
crazy,
well done.
like
But
over the top.
to his normal specs.
Yeah.
The execution, like, you know, you pop the hood, it's like stock bay.
Okay.
So he got docked in that kind of regard, like, a lot. He knows it, you know, like, but like interiors, like, always really well done.
Sure.
Exterior's perfect.
Yeah.
Like, they're really nice.
Yeah, and I think it's cool because he's made that, like, stamped this over the top style.
And apparently he sells his cars for a lot of money. So.
Yeah, that's what I've heard, man. Did you see? I don't know if it was in the battle or not, but the green gullwing. So
yeah, it was.
Okay.
It was nice. It was outside, right?
Yeah. SEMA Industry Award banquet night.
Okay.
Thursday night.
Okay.
It was one of the like 3 that they put in the foyer display for like the mixer before you go into the banquet.
Interesting.
And so people who hadn't seen it outside, they went and looked at it, and and yeah, that was actually my first time being able, because I became acquainted with him since the year that I was in the battle, and then mutual acquaintances and tread paths. So we chopped it up for a little bit, and I didn't even realize he had 5 or 6. But I mean, that should be pretty much expected now.
6.
That dude always brings a lot. So, anyways, you guys, you've got these period correct 60s style Euros and Mercedes, and then you have way over the top with helicopter riveting and brass coatings and platings and leathers. And accoutrements like Rolex basketballs, and you have all these ways to take the same style, or I should say generation, of a car and just go crazy with it. And that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. You could there's a lot of guys who would never do what the young Connor is his name with the Datsun Roadster, who would never have done this like perpendicularly mounted suspension. Why can't I leave her behind you? But then why push rod? This angulation. But at the same time, this guy did it and killed it. Like, dude, I did a poll on my IG that I collaborated with SEMA and Battle of the Builders. And you know how in polls, there'll always be something, about, the closest you get is like a 70-30 or 80-20. Did you guys like this build? Did it deserve the win? You're always going to get the people who are like, no, it was good, but. Dude, it's like in the hundreds now of people on the poll. It's 99 to 1%.
Really?
That his car deserved to win. It's impressive. Everyone loves it. One person, not just figuratively, literally one guy was like, the way I put it was, it's a really nice build, but not the best of the young guns. One person selected that. But everyone else, other fabricators, painters, JDM guys, just loving it. So it's really cool to see this chassis, which is a beloved, rare Datsun chassis, be done in such a cool way. He didn't put American wheels, he put Watts, the black on the white, and then QA1 coilovers, I guess the short travel. And so that's his mix. And I guess he's a fabricator full time.
Okay.
So I thought it was really cool to see a Japanese car, but dude, like we talked about, Ryan's 2 chassis, which that's the only part of them that are Honda anymore, right? And then Honda Racing, and then Guichi CRX, which was J Series, kept in Honda. That's about the only Honda that was there. Nissan, Datsun, heavy, man, heavy. What did you guys think about that? For the Honda guys that watch this, are you cool with that? Are you like, yeah, so be it. Next year, the people better come strong with it. Or are you just like, you know what? I'm a Toyota guy. I'm a Honda guy. But shout out to the Nissan, Datsun guys, because the Zs were heavy and the GTRs. Zs and GTRs.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What do you guys think about that? And then we're going to, after the break, we're going to come back and we're going to get the perspective now, like for me as a media guy, and then specifically Ryan as a builder now, not as a Battle of the Builders judge, but as a personal builder in business with these 2 EV builds. So we'll come back to that and we'll jump straight into that. We'll see you in a moment.